Ikegami is one of the oldest players in the broadcast market with about 80 years in the business. Obviously a widely known and respected brand. And now the SKAARHOJ controllers support camera shading for Ikegami cameras via the Ikegami Gateway, which is a software or hardware component that connects the cameras with RCPs and other control solutions. So our integration was developed in collaboration with Ikegami to support a wider range of use cases than the classic master control room. And that's also why we are showcasing a slightly unconventional panel in this video. It clearly highlights a key selling point of SKAARHOJ. Once the software integration is in place, you can choose any of our panels for the task. Choice is king. And today we're using a Rack Control Uno and a RCP Mini. So with Rack Control Uno, it has a camera selector here on the lower end, and then it has presets we can recall, it has a menu for the settings, and finally it has 4 encoder knobs to make the adjustments. If you look at the RCP Mini over here, you find the exact same structure, although we don't have the presets available unless you press this button. And it doesn't have a camera selector in this configuration. But it does have the menu. So we are now on the home menu, which presents the same 4 options on the encoders. If we go to exposure, you see the same settings on the encoders on the RCP Mini. On the gain menu, you have the same gain settings, etc. So what is special here is that with the Ikegami Gateway, we are not able to use the joystick as we would usually do on an RCP. So that's a limitation. It is basically done with an encoder on their camera. So that's a little unusual, and this is why we can also focus on this one, which in this case is the form factor that is more useful in a flyaway kit. So the RCP Mini or the RCP Pro, which is a larger version of it, that goes well into a master control room. But if you're looking for a flyaway kit, you may want something that is rack mounted. And again, this is SKAARHOJ's speciality, that we can give you any form factor. Once the software is made, we can map it onto anything. Alright, so in this video we want to show you how we can shade this camera using the Rack Control Uno. For the sake of illustration, I have configured the UI of the Rack Control Uno with 8 cameras. So the first camera is obviously connected. It's the screen here, it says connected. The others are disconnected, but they help to fit my camera selector so you can see how it would work if you had multiple cameras available. You basically have a paging button here, and you have 8 cameras that you can access over 2 pages. We go back to camera number 1, that's the one we have connected, and then we are not going to use the software UI anymore in this video because everything is about the control panel right here. So if we go into the menu, the home menu is a place where you can put the things that you care most about. But one of the things that we find here is, for instance, the color filter. So color filter is like an ND filter that gives you a quick way to obtain something like a white balance setting for your camera. And you can see we have like different settings that happens obviously with some color filter inside the camera, and that is selectable here on the first page. We also have ND filters that we can apply using this knob. Those are just choices that we have put onto those encoders. And you can also trigger your white balance to on these 2 encoders here on the front. So we have put that there. I want to take you into the exposure because this is where you have also the iris control. So on the iris control knob, we can control the lens. And that's what we are doing right now. So we have a broadcast before lens hooked onto the camera. It's connected to the camera. So through the camera, we are controlling the iris on this encoder knob. Okay, straightforward there. Then we have step gain. So we can set gain levels on the camera. Like that, all right. And then we have ND filter over here. So also available in the exposure menu as well as on the home screen. And that's typical how we map stuff onto the home screen, letting it be a place where you can also decide something else to be there, but you will typically find those settings somewhere in the deeper menu in the configuration. Gain obviously is red, green, and blue gain. So let's just play a little bit with that. And we can see with these knobs, we are able to do some adjustments here. I'm just bringing them back closer, a little bit closer to 0, like this. Okay, so now we are close to 0 on them all, except the green one, where we are now going in plus here. And obviously it has an effect on the image, as you can see, as you would expect. So this is not a class in color grading. If you press the encoders, you see that we using larger steps immediately. That's a standard SKAARHOJ feature, so you find that in many configurations. And then we have also a master gain on the last knob. Let's just do that in the coarse mode so that we take some really large steps here. Okay, so that's gain. We have pedestal. That's also one of the features that you are typically quite interested in. So that's like giving you some reddish look in the dark tones of the image here. All right, so let's just keep it there for a little bit old-fashioned look. We also have like a master gain we can apply over the whole image, and see the effect of that. Okay, then we have knee settings. You can turn knee on, and you can set the point and the slope. Let's just keep it off. Going on to the next page, we have details. Now in details, you have both general details. You also have skin details. So for instance, if you enable details, maybe what you want to do is to turn up the details a little bit and then turn down the skin details slightly as well to not enhance wrinkles in the faces of people. That's one way you could use this. But anyway, you are the shader, so you have access to those features. Moving on to the scenes here, we have scene files, but that's managed by the preset, so we'll see that in a moment. And then finally in the system menu here, we have stuff like color bars. So yes, okay, we can turn color bars on and off, very useful. And then we have a trigger call to the camera, so you can wake up the cameraman if he fell asleep for whatever reason. I want to go back to some of the shading settings because now I want to play with the presets. That's the final thing I want to show you, that we can have we can recall and set these scene files in the camera. So I already have it actually stored a few. So if I press number 1, I am recalling settings in the camera, and on number 2 I have slightly different shading here. But I want to show you how easy it would be to actually change this. So let's say that we like this look, but we would like to apply a little bit more greenish look in the dark tones, and then if we go to gain, then we want some more reddish look in the highlights. All right, so we get this old-fashioned look for the image, and I want to store that in preset number 3 or scene file number 3. So I press and hold, it turned green. Did you see it? And now as I go back to the previous setting here, I get that, and then by pressing that button, I simply reload that scene file that I just stored in the camera by a single press of this button. With the rack Control Uno, you can control multiple cameras as mentioned, but it doesn't have to be Ikegami cameras. It could be any brand we support. And we have like 500 devices we support, and you can map each one of them down onto its own camera selector and have a unique menu with the exact settings of that camera shown on the right side of the panel. Thanks for watching. If you are new to this channel, be sure that you like and subscribe to stay up to date with the latest in control integrations from SKAARHOJ for your favorite broadcast gear. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram and X. And if you need to speak to a human being, then reach out to our sales and support team. All the links to that is in the description below. Thanks for watching.